we was in part of their training. We was in Lincolnshire, and that was like you see. You got to remember the Morse code was there was no phones much. The Morse code was still an essential weapon, if you like, and so we had to learn the Morse code. We had to learn how to use it, and one thing another. And we was on a scheme at night, and we were laying a cable in the dark. A sergeant said we had successfully done so, and then he said to me, I'd drawn the short straw, hadn't I? And he says, well, you stay here, and you'll be relieved later on, but until then, you got to keep it. You got the radio, not the telephone and everything, and that was in the middle of the night. And there I was, dark, cold, miserable, and nobody turned up, did they? And I went right through the day, and I thought, well, what have I got to do? When they find I'm missing, they'll come and find me, so I got to be where they know I was, which was where the phone was. But if I went away from the phone, I found that the phone wasn't working. Well, I'm getting a bit complicated here, perhaps. It finished up. It was late in the day before, and I thought, well, I've got to do something. I should have to go up there. And it was in Lincolnshire, which could be very bare and lonely and cold and wet. It was. I got to do something. And I was just in the process. I should have to take and go and walk up this cart track, which must have led to a farm or something, when I heard a motorbike. And it was the sergeant on the motorbike. Oh, he says, we didn't miss you till the storeman said he was a phone missing. And then he said, we realised you was missing. So anyhow, I finished up, and when we got back, it was a lovely big farm, and they had all had their suppers or dinners or whatever it was, and the cooks had gone, and there was no food for me because there was nothing out. It was quite isolated. There wasn't a pub or anything you could go to. And I was sitting there, and then along come the sergeant, and he said, right, he says, I want 10 men for a special duty. Well, in the army, you don't volunteer for things like that. And then he turned to me, he said, you're going to be one on them. When I went to protest, and he says, don't protest. And he finally got the rest of the men to agree to go on this special duty, which I had no idea what it was. And then when he got them together, he said, right, the farmer has said he can't have everybody for supper, but he would have 10. So we went up, and I always remember going into his big house, and we stepped inside, and there was a long room, and at the far end there was a lovely log fire, and down the centre of the table there was a table being laid out, and we had a lovely supper with the ladies of the house serving us with beer, whatever we wanted, and everything. And then he said, he didn't say a lot, he got a gammon on a second he's slicing this gammon off. Well, a lot of people had never seen a gammon before the war, but anyhow, he done that. And then when we finished and we eased back a bit, he says, "You may be wondering why I'm doing this." He said, "You blokes are going to be," because we knew by then the invasion to Europe would be taking place almost any time. "You blokes," he said, "you may not be here tomorrow. You'll be going wherever you're going to go." And he says, "And the best way I can thank you is to give you a good supper." He said, "We know what you blokes are going to be about." He says, "This is the least we can do is show our appreciation. And if that farmer, as I say, if ever he got to the gates of heaven, St. Peter will let him in on my recommendation." I'm a dry old stick, ain't I?